Meis Morphs here. The topic I'm going to be talking about is hard to talk about. It's very delicate, and I'll try my best to use at least semi politically correct words because YouTube might not agree with proper usage or whatever, or they'll figure it's too triggering, but here it goes. Uh, I think we've all been seeing what's been happening in the news here lately, and for the last couple months, it seems to be one thing after the other. Women and young girls are getting attacked violently, sexually. And it's not just some sporadic event here, there, every few weeks or months. It's actually getting pretty bad. And at the root of it, it seems that all the attackers are illegal immigrants, be they from Central or South America, China, or any of the places where we've been deployed in combat operations, or maybe even Africa in some cases. But the amount of incidences that have happened between Georgia, Texas, New York, and any other place that might have this stuff happening right now that has not yet to be reported and has not yet hit the mainstream news outlets. It's already happening or has already happened. I'm a father and a husband. My wife is physically disabled, very thin, can't put up a fight. My stepdaughter, who I treat as my own, is 13. Before I came into her life, there was a lot of heartache and hardships due to other guys that supposedly stepped up but dropped the ball and didn't treat her or her mother really all that well. But now that I've been here and in their lives as a father and husband for almost close to a decade now, uh, with all this stuff happening, I feel like regardless of how trained I have been in the past and how armed I maintain myself on my person or on my premise, I made the hard reality check to realize that I am not always going to be around or be able to defend them against attackers. Whether I'm incapacitated or if I'm out of the house doing something. Or if me and my wife are here at the house and our daughter is away at friends, things can happen and we and I won't be there to stop anything. That being said, I am giving very strong interest into getting my daughter and my wife enrolled in some form of self defense or RADS. For those of you who don't know what RADS is, it stands for the R word, aggression and defense systems. Basically, it's a females only class. Mother daughter can or female representative for the family can only attend. They don't allow for male family members to sponsor or represent or even be there for whatever reason. I don't know why. It seems weird. But There are basically self-defense classes that law enforcement sponsor every now and then, uh, where they teach women and girls as young as 16 to physically be aware of the signs of an imminent attack that might end or result in SA, and how to mitigate circumstances to prevent it, and when engaged with an attacker, how to successfully defend yourself and escape. Yeah, like I said, the age cap on RADs is that you got to be 16 and accompanied by a female representative of your family. That kind of leaves an open gap because 16 and above is not just the only age gap that will be attacked. Most attackers will go after younger, smaller individuals because they know they have the power and the advantage. I think it's a little unfair that there should be a system class to help prevent or mitigate this stuff, and they exclude the smaller and more vulnerable people. I've already had a really bad scare about a week or two ago when one of the neighbors stopped me when I was walking the dog because apparently somebody had approached their house. They had a ring doorbell, so that it allowed them to let them know that somebody was on their property that they didn't know, or all other stuff. But apparently, this person had been spotted walking around the community, approaching houses and everything. I don't know if they were looking through windows or trying to get help, or if they were trying to like sell something. But something about the person's behavior was off. I ended up running into the dude, and he tried approaching me and trying to approach my dog, and I was like, sorry, sir, not interested, and I was generally off put. I managed to book it back to the house after I was done walking the dog and everything, relieving his business and all this stuff. And then some part of me instinctually wanted to check on my wife and kid because this guy had passed by my house well in advance of me getting back. And I was like, uh-oh. Big uh-oh. And I started freaking doing head counts like damn fire guard at night. Uh, my wife was in her room. She was asleep. Checked my daughter's room. My daughter was gone. So, immediately I started going into like a quiet panic, freaking almost damn near close to a PTSD attack. And then I freaking calmed myself down. It's like, okay, she's not here. Maybe she told my maybe she told her mother that she was going someplace, but mom fell asleep and forgot to tell me. Uh, call one of my neighbors where she has a friend at. Called him. She's there at their place, hanging out with her friend. It's like, whew. I go down there and tell him, this girl's friend, my daughter's, that there's somebody freaking creeping around the neighborhood, approaching people, and approaching properties with some oddball intent. And nobody knows who the guy is at all. None whatsoever. Uh, find out later that her and her friend are at the pool at the park, which is within SAed our community and everything. And we both drive down in our respective vehicles to go pick them up, just to make sure that they're safe. They let us know that a local sheriff had been patrolling around, and they stopped by at the park, checked on things there. But we both picked up our kids and got them back home safe. And at the same time, when we drove back and everything, we crossed paths with the individual again, still standing around aimlessly in the neighborhood. And I made sure to point it out to the other parent, and it's like, hey, that's the dude. Don't know whatever happened to that guy, whether he got out of our neighborhood or not, but because we don't have an active community watch like we used to a long time ago, long before I lived here, it kind of raised some red flags. Because even though the community here is changing a little bit, a lot of the older folks are leaving because they can't afford the taxes on their homes anymore because of the cost of living and all that stuff. And we also got new families moving in with younger kids and all that stuff. So we're having a lot of changing dynamics. So we're still getting used to learning who our neighbors are again all over. But whenever we've had we've never had an issue like this before where we had somebody just show up in the neighborhood that clearly didn't belong. It's not like we're a gated community or a deeded community or something like that. We don't have gate guards or cameras and stuff like that. But we do have at least like a round robin tree phone system where we can call neighbors and get updates about events, or if something's going on, we can all coalesce and pull our efforts and help out. But I kind of gave my daughter a little bit of a chewing out about going off about notifying both parents and everything like that, and because the world is not exactly a kind place to anybody. More specifically, to her being a female. I had to talk to one of my friends about prospecting the idea of like finding some martial arts studios, uh, or finding out one of these RADS classes. I found out about the RADS class, but like I said earlier, that one has an age cap where you have to be 16 to attend it. Uh, the martial arts studios around here are few and far in between. I would go for like judo or Brazilian jiu jitsu or Krav Maga, some martial art where the defensive and offensive capabilities are on par. I mean, as far as like moves that would be adequate to get you out of freaking holds, grasps, locks, and stuff like that. Something that would make my daughter not just more confident in herself, but also put her abilities to fight in her best advantage. I mean, I've even gone so far as to think about maybe hand to hand combat, or how to use a knife in a combat or a life and death situation. Now you might be thinking is like, wow, that's a little bit extreme, but I'd rather have a daughter come back with bruises and cuts and alive and not SAed at all than have to get the phone call from the sheriffs to tell me that my daughter was found, brutalized, and SAed by some individual. Whether it's some pedophile that's here in the neighborhood that's 2.5 or 3 miles away from where we live, or by some illegal immigrant that had no qualms about freaking breaking our laws to get here, getting on assistance while other people that need it are suffering without, and bringing their criminal nature that was not checked or vetted prior to getting here. I would rather my daughter be able to defend herself in an appropriate fashion, given the times and the nature of the way things are. I do not want to have to bury my daughter because some animal wanted to satisfy his fucking heinous needs and just found an opportunity. My daughter is not going to be an opportunity. My daughter is not going to be something that satisfies some animal's freaking needs. No, never. And if I can't be there to stop it or prevent it, I want my daughter to be able to at least fight it off, tooth and fucking nail. And I'd hope that there are other fathers and other mothers that are taking into consideration getting their daughters, and maybe they're even their young boys, because these predators are out there. They don't give no qualms to gender. They just see what they want, and they'll do exactly what they want if they feel like they can get away with it. And they will. Proof is in the evidence in the news that we see every day. So, in all earnestness, I'm hoping that anybody that's watching and listening takes this to heart. By all means, if something should happen, it's not your fault. You tried your best, but there's always room to be able to find ways to do things in order to prevent this stuff from happening. One, stay armed. Two, practice self-defense. Find some martial art or something to give you the discipline and the strength and the confidence that your kids will need to defend themselves. Because if you're not there to do it, they literally have to do it themselves. And that is a very scary and real thing. And I'm hoping most of these kids have the wherewithal to survive such a thing, if they can at all. To the parents, take a picture of your kid every day, whether you're dropping them off at school or at a friend's place or at a gathering. Doesn't matter. Get a picture of what they look like, what they're wearing at all times. If they leave your presence, if they leave your home, or if you go shopping or everything, always have a fucking picture on hand of what they are currently looking like and wearing. Another point, contact your freaking senators and your governors. Let them know. Stop this freaking shit at the border. We don't need this shit. We really don't. We got enough problems with freaking this type of animal freaking behavior amongst our own ranks in our own country. The last thing we need is some other countries' filth and animosity towards women and children coming over here. Because these motherfuckers like to come and disappear and then freaking do it all over without fear of being incarcerated by our judicial system. And not to sound like I'm inciting violence or anything, but if you have the misfortune to freaking come upon somebody attacking a kid or a woman in that manner, I am giving you full countenance to go all out and beat the shit out of the motherfucker or motherfuckers that are involved perpetrating that shit. Don't give a damn about no law or anything like that. You're acting in self-defense to prevent the maiming or ending of another life. And you can tell that to the lawyers, the DAs, and tell to the cops. They will more than likely understand, and they will freaking probably pat you on the goddamn back and give you a beer for your efforts. Another thing, tell the president when it comes to time to vote this November exactly how you feel about this shit. Because the border policies that he's coming out with, way too goddamn late. Way too damn late. That only other thing I'd figure that would ever make things any freaking better is we're not freaking focused on freaking Iraq or Afghanistan, and if we take our eyes off freaking what's going on in the Ukraine with Russia, or wondering when China's gonna freaking bow up to us, I'd rather deploy our goddamn armed forces to the southern border. Because right now, other than defending the sanctity of the life of our children and women, I think we need to really defend the sanctity and sovereignty of our damn southern border. And if you don't like it, tough. There's no point freaking having open borders like this, only to have it freaking blow up in our faces on a daily basis, where kids and women are getting SAed, murdered, and their bodies left where they're freaking found, with no regard. I'm hoping everybody. Sorry, I'm just trying to gather myself there. I was starting to get a little bit too much. Almost let the better part of my emotions get a hold of me. But, yeah, that's where I stand. And I'm hoping you all agree. That's all I have to say on the matter.